Okay, so there's a spray of purity seal on the model now. I just had a wee bit left in a tin, so I just used that, but you could use anything just to help seal that under layer of the rust effect. It's not a finished rust effect. If you were going to leave the model like that, or without a top coat of colour, you would want to do a bit more to it. Washes, certainly weathering powders on it to help get that kind of dry, dusty finish on the rust. But we'll do that later on once we've added our colour layer. So what we're about to do now is start the colour layer. Now there's a few ways we could have done it. If you've got an airbrush, I do have an airbrush, then you could use chip and medium. Spray 2 or 3 coats of chip and medium on the model first, let that dry, and then add your colour layer on top. You could use masking fluid. Humbrol have got a good masking fluid, which Mascol it's called. And then paint on some colour or airbrush on some colour, but I was thinking that not everyone's got an airbrush, and to maybe do this using the kind of salt technique, which is a bit more accessible because we just need some water and some salt. So the idea is, with a little spray bottle of water and some salt crystals. It needs to be the kind of larger crystals that you use for this. The kind of table salt stuff wouldn't have the right kind of finish that you need. The idea now is just to spray some water on the model, get the model wet, not too wet, it doesn't have to be soaking wet, and then sprinkle some salt on it from above. So I'm just going to spray the model down. Probably want to do this in a sink or something normally, but so we'll try that. And then it's just a case of getting some salt. And sprinkling it onto the model. What you'll find is the salt will tend to stick to those wet areas. And then fall off from the sides, and wherever you see the salt, later on is going to be where the rust comes through. Now, I don't want to hide absolutely everything with colour, so I'm just going to try and get a bit more salt where I want the rust to be, where I want the rust to be visible. As you can see, it is a little bit messy doing it, so probably better doing it in the sink. It's one of those things you don't really know what you're going to get until you see the finished result. I'm just trying to crumble it up a little bit with my fingers to get some smaller bits, just for a bit of variety. So you don't want things so wet that all the salt just dissolves away into nothing. You need that appearance of the crystals, and we want the salt to definitely be collecting on the top side of the model where it's most exposed to the elements. And it's just totally random, you can't really control it too much. So we'll leave it there. We're going to let that dry off, and then the next step would be to use some spray paint, just a rattle can again, just to keep it accessible to people who don't have an airbrush. Just use a rattle can of the kind of colour paint that you'd like to use for your top coat. Don't go too heavy on it. I'll just give it a kind of light spray. If it's patchy in places, that's not a problem. Just adds to the weather and effect overall. And then we'll see what it looks like in the next video. Okay, so that's the colour layer sprayed on, just as I said, with a rattle can, so it's pretty accessible, no airbrush required. Just choose a colour that you like and spray it on. It's not a perfect coat, don't need to go too heavy on it. It's just got to be enough to get that colour on overall, and just want you to see that before I remove the salt. I won't do that on camera, it'll be pretty messy. I'll do it in a bin and then maybe need to wet it a bit and brush it off if any of the salt doesn't want to come off. But that's this stage, just so you can see how it looks. Basically what's going to happen is anywhere where that salt was is going to reveal the kind of rust colours beneath. And it really is a random effect. If you were using a chipping medium, such as maybe the chipping medium by Green Stuff World or Worn Effects by AK Interactive, you get more control over where you remove the paint. I mean, theoretically, if you apply it correctly, you could wash off or remove all that top coat of colour if you wanted, but with this salt method it's going to be purely random what comes from it. So we'll get on with that and then come back and have a look at the results.